Hi everyone, bringing you an additional Mannequin video today. I said I would, looking at this setup here, which is for a New Zealand infantryman in the very, very late 1980s. Bringing together some bits that I've already done videos on, such as the pouches, in which I also showed this web equipment setup basically as it is here, and the shirt and hat, which recently arrived from New Zealand and which I did an unboxing video a few weeks ago. But I thought I'd get the whole thing together. Those who follow me on Facebook and Instagram will already have seen photographs of this, but I thought I'd do a little video on it as well. What we have here is a mid-1980s production New Zealand shirt. An interesting design in that it's very similar to what would commonly be considered a barrack dress shirt, or the British GS shirt, for example, or something to be worn underneath combats, not necessarily as a combat garment itself. In that it just has unpleated patch pockets, obviously shirt style buttons, two-hole shirt type buttons. It very much looks like a barrack dress shirt, but just made in DPM material, and more sort of combat type shirts would be introduced later on by the New Zealanders, but this is what was being worn at the time. Atop this we have the jungle hat, or in American terminology the boonie hat, made in a waxed cotton material. So, and you can see here that again is in the DPM. It's a bit darker due to the waxed finish. Two eyelets on each side for ventilation, one above the other. So that there at the top. The web equipment is a real mishmash, and that's one of the reasons I like this setup so much. Is it's a real amalgamation of various different bits of kit. Looking at the front here, we can see several items. The first is this is actually an Australian-made second pattern M1956 web belt, obviously with the vertical weave, but it's a standard M1956 belt essentially. Worn on this are two nylon ammunition pouches, and these were produced, I think they were produced locally in New Zealand, or possibly made with some other nylon kit out in the Far East. Korea, I believe, made some items which were either their own design or a knockoff of American load carrying equipment. But these follow a stretched M1956 design. Basically, you've got loops on the side for grenades, the spoon of the grenade to go through, or to put slide keepers through, and you obviously have the strap there as well with the snap or press stud, depending on the terminology you want to use. British style web tips to the end of the webbing there with the rivet through, but the quick release tab, that design there is pure M1956, so draws together a few different bits and pieces there in terms of design, made of nylon obviously rather than cotton, and then obviously you have the supporting strap running up to the suspenders there. Odd bit of this design, and obviously not an ideal thing, is that the buckles actually face inwards, so rather than having the flat face of the buckle against you if it weren't riding on the suspenders, you actually have the lock of the buckle digging into you, which is not ideal, but that's just an element of the design. The suspenders themselves are American LC1 Alice suspenders basically. You'll see that a bit better when we get around the back. These weren't standard issue as far as I'm aware for New Zealanders, but they had their own suspenders produced out, as I say, in the Far East, in Southeast Asia, nylon suspenders, but they were commonly replaced by American suspenders bought privately, from what I understand from talking to people who know more about this subject than I do. That's what I've been told. If you have any further information you'd like to add, then please do put a comment in the description, down in the comment section rather, because I'd be interested to hear more. I'm interested to learn more about New Zealand kit at this time. We move this right the way around now. We can have a look at the back here, and we'll look at the side here first. We have a knockoff Korean-made Canteen cover, basically to American LC1 pattern. So you've got the little pouch there for the purifying tablets. The bottle is an Australian-made 1960s example, which was still on issue at the time. But other than that, including the eyelet, the drain hole in the bottom there, you can see the design is copied directly off American LC1 practice, but it isn't an official American issue LC1 equipment or LS equipment. Moving around the back here, you can see the suspenders, and these are standard US. You can just see the US stamp up there at the top, possibly. As I say, often privately purchased from what I understand. At the back here we have a field pack and this is the made to American M1961 pattern, but you can see the broad arrow here on the flap. This is part of the Australian modified M1956 equipment, and you can see the British fittings and so forth, and there are little broad arrows on the metalwork as well to differentiate it. An Australian made example, again still in use with New Zealand at the time. They still had some of the Australian made modified M1956 equipment in stock, as with the belt. And then we have on the other side another canteen pouch with another Australian water bottle, another Australian canteen in there, depending on the nomenclature you're using. So, as I say, from what I understand and from talking to people, this is a fairly typical late 1980s setup for a New Zealand infantryman. Obviously, at this point, the SLR was going out of service, the L1A1, and the Stayer was coming into service to replace it, and these pouches were primarily designed for use with the Stayer magazines. But there it is. I just thought it'd be interesting to go over the lot set up on the Mannequin together, having looked at various different bits and pieces of this previously, and obviously the shirt and the hat in the unboxing video. So I do hope you found that interesting. As I say, if you do know, if you're a New Zealander yourself, or you happen to know more about New Zealand equipment, army equipment and so forth, I would be very interested to hear if this is right, if I've made any mistakes or anything that I could correct in the future. Any more information would be very much welcome, or even direction towards sources where I could find out more. Photographs and things are always good to see as well. So yes, if you fancy getting in touch with me, of course, there's the Facebook page, which I put a link to in the description, and I also have an Instagram. As already said, those who follow me on there will have seen this already in photographs, and they're a good place to keep up with what's going on the channel. There's often sneak peeks and things on there. And obviously, if you want to see my future uploads, then please do consider subscribing. And if you're newly subscribing or already subscribed, make sure you hit the notification button so that you're notified when I do upload future videos. But I think that's everything I wanted to cover in the video. So until next time, bye for now.